Greetings, class, and welcome to the last week. For my research project, I'm going to be analyzing what were the main tipping points instigated by Britain that culminated in the American colonies meeting together at the First Continental Congress and declaring independence from Britain. So my primary thesis statement is what were the three acts that Great Britain passed that caused the colonies to form the First Continental Congress. And I believe that from my research, that was the Stamp Act of 1767, the Coercive Acts of 1774, and the Townsend Acts as well. I believe that those three acts actually led the colonies toward independence and toward the First Continental Congress. So what is the significance? The significance of this First Continental Congress and the acts that led to this, it really brought the colonies to unity and deciding that they needed to declare to Great Britain what their rights were. They brought a unifying message of their grievances to Great Britain in the First Continental Congress, and it was the culmination of over 20 years of increased British taxation and infringement on colonial liberty. So therefore it was significant and historic in nature. Obviously previously to these acts there was Great British War debt, and I'll be going into that in my paper. After the culmination of the 7 Years' War put Great Britain in an incredible amount of debt, and they needed to fund their army and their navy around the world and throughout their empire. So that resulted in taxation. So plans were made in Parliament, and of course the first one was the Stamp Act, in which pretty much all paper products that were used in the United States had to have an official British stamp, and the colonists had to pay a fee to use those. That really didn't affect the entire population. It really affected kind of more the elites, lawyers, any legal documents that were used, judges, college students, professors, things like that. So it didn't really include all of the colonists, according to my research, and therefore created some resistance and concern, and there were kind of some merchant boycotts and some legal resistance, like the Virginia House of Burgesses declaring, quote, that the colonists were entitled to all liberties, privileges, franchises, and immunities possessed by the people of Great Britain. And so it was a big deal. What I think united people further, at least from my research, was the Townsend Acts of June 1767. This was a duty, the Britons called this a duty on common things like lead, paint, even clothing from Great Britain. And so this really hit most colonists, from the elite class all the way to the common class, and to the point that even women were involved in helping create more kind of simple clothing for townspeople to wear. And the merchants, of course, boycotted these goods. The colonists boycotted these goods. It's also important that it's kind of the first emergence of women collecting signatures and writing political points of view in newspapers. And so that's a really interesting result of this, but it also kind of galvanized all aspects of society, if you will, of the colonies against Great Britain and what they felt was tyranny. And furthermore, there was the coercive and finally, I would just say finally, the coercive and tolerable acts of 1774 basically shut down Boston Port, cutting off all trade to the city. It took apart the Massachusetts government and put it under British control. And the Quartering Act was also part of that, where the British soldiers had to be housed by the colonists. And there was one further one, that if the Brits committed a crime in the colonies, they would be tried in Great Britain. And this was incredibly offensive to the colonists. It was meant to be. It was meant to be a punishment. What resulted was the colonies uniting and giving food and aid to Boston. It also created a sense of shared identity among the colonies, and so that certainly changed things. And as a result, the colonies formed committees of correspondence and sent delegates to the First Continental Congress in September of 1774. I would say 12 of the 13 colonies, all but Georgia. And this created the unity and the declarations of grievance that were sent to Great Britain, but it also created a colonial statement of declaration of rights, and that they wanted the rights that Brits had as well. So in conclusion, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, the Coercive Acts, they all put duties and taxes upon the colonists. And they were put there to resolve Great Britain's war debt and financial troubles, but neither the colonists nor Great Britain could have foreseen that it would have undone their common bond and led to the formation of the First Continental Congress and the Revolutionary War. Thank you.